Why do Iranians hate Britain? Well, partly because they've got pretty good reason to historically, and partly because it suits their government. It goes back to the age of empire, not just Britain's, but the Persian one, that once stretched from Greece to India. Rightly or wrongly, and it's a bit of both, we get much of the blame for its shrinking, helping to carve out a chunk of it to Russia in 1813, which earned us the nickname Wily Old Fox, then a chunk to the east in Afghanistan half a century later. And it wasn't just land. By 1913, the British government had extracted a contract effectively making all Iranian oil British property. A few years later, another giving it control of Iran's army and treasury. In 1953, Britain and America helped stage a coup to overthrow the elected government of Mohammad Mossadegh, who had begun taking back control of Iran's oil. Iran's experiment with democracy was snuffed out and the Shah installed instead. Britain has been reviled ever since as the little Satan, second only to America's great Satan. And we've been blamed for whatever America does too. Not least during the 8-year-long Iran-Iraq war, when the West supported Iran's enemy, Saddam Hussein, and more than 1 million Iranians died. It is also, though, convenient for Iran's government to have someone else to blame for the country's problems, especially its economy. And the government encourages anti-British and anti-American feeling with massive state-sponsored graffiti and regular demonstrations denouncing the West. When you go to Iran, you find this strange ambivalence. On the one hand, there are demonstrations on the streets of Tehran where they chant death to Britain. On the other, you meet some of the friendliest, most welcoming people on earth who are insatiably curious about the outside world, including Britain. After the nuclear deal, Britain and other European countries are pursuing a kind of détente with Iran, even if under Trump, America isn't. The hope for Britain and Iran is both countries can move on to something that's frankly a bit more grown up. For Iranians, that would include stopping arresting British Iranian guests of their country on obscure charges without presenting convincing evidence. For Britain, it's helping the Iranians genuinely benefit from the nuclear deal. And for both, it's about being as honest as possible with the other. As one Iranian street vendor said to me while I was there, we don't hate British people, just the politics. So let's move beyond the politics and find what we have in common as people.